Oh, hello. And welcome back to the Wings and Riffs, totally unstructured podcast. My name is Torsten Nogel, also known as WinglessValkyrie, and over here is my host, Riffs, also known as Cole Mikey Jackson. How you doing today, Cole Mikey Jackson?
Don't do that.
What, don't do it Japanese-wise, where you start with the last name and then finish with the first name?
If you're gonna do it, you gotta do it for both of us.
Oh, okay, fine. My name is Nogel Torsten, and this is Cole Mikey Jackson.
It doesn't work.
Cole Mikey,
it doesn't work.
This is Cole Mikey-san, and I am Nogel-san.
Please stop.
You don't like that?
I don't want to get I don't want to get canceled.
You cancel because we're saying that? Okay, well, fair enough. I'm gonna turn up your microphone a little bit here because it sounds hollow in my ears, but maybe I'm just being a little too picky. I don't know. We'll ask the chat how they feel. How do you speaking to the microphone again?
No.
See, that sounds way better in my ears.
Sounds good.
All right, Golden. Chat, you can let us know how it's sounding. Anybody else who is not in part of the Twitch chat, what are you doing? Thank you so much for listening to the podcast After Hours on wherever you're listening to, on YouTube, Anchor, Spotify, iTunes, Pocket Cast, wherever you're listening to this podcast. Thank you so much for checking us out. If you want to watch the podcast happen live, we are live at twitch.tv/Wings and Riffs podcast with an underscore under every space every second Sunday. You can check us out there if you wish to speak with us live. Otherwise, thank you so much for checking out the podcast, and I hope you're enjoying yourself. Y'all are out of focus. Well, that doesn't matter to everybody I was just talking to on all the Anchor apps and podcast apps. They don't give a damn as long as we sound good in the ears, which that is what I'm hoping we do. Nonetheless, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you guys coming down and hanging out. We've got, well, at least I've got a few things I want to talk about today. I don't know what you have planned to talk about today. Probably nothing, because this is Wings and Riffs, totally unstructured. Which you pitched as the title, mind you. So.
Yeah, because that's what it was. And that's all the way it's always
it
been.
It technically still is. I mean, to be fair, I will say there are a lot of topics that come up, and I'm like, we should talk about it on the podcast because I want to
share it. Yeah,
well, I want to share things, but I also want people who come to the podcast to feel like they're getting something out of it and not just listening to two dudes bromance all the time. Because new people to the podcast,
that's what they're here for.
I mean, sure, but I mean, just new people coming to the podcast might be like, I don't know who these people, I don't care for these people. I want the details that they're talking about, that they see in the description that we talk about, Warhammer and Dungeons and Dragons and video games and sometimes music and social media and such like that. And if they listen to and all they get is bromance stuff, they're like, this is not what is in the description. So
it may as well be.
It may as well be in the description. We are a bromance who talk about bromancing all the time, and sometimes we talk about Warhammer, Dungeons and Dragons, social media, music, what the fuck not.
Sprinkled in there,
Yeah, Salt Bay sprinkling and just all the actual details. Yep. Damn, Salt Bay must be really old because I remember Salt Bay before COVID. Anything before COVID is old.
I want to tell you, Salt Bay is in Persona 5 Royal.
What do you mean he's in the... What, they made a fucking little thing do Salt Bay?
They made one of the new characters fucking do it.
Oh my god. Persona 5 Royal.
And when Ashley got to that part, we fucking died.
Persona 5 Royal knew the mission and it achieved the mission, or whatever that meme is. It knew the job or achieved the mission, however it is.
So good.
Tori, you need to breathe. What the hell's breathing? No. Don't you know I'm a rap god? I don't breathe unless I'm dead. That's not the actual quote, but whatever.
Close enough.
It's close enough, and nobody's going to fact check me on rap god. I say that, and someone listening is like, "Hold my fucking beer," and is off checking me now. Well, nonetheless, thank you guys so much. Thank you guys for being here. Shout out to the people in the Twitch chat, and we got Nerms, we got a Rank This, and we got a Theater Lashy. Thank you guys so much for hanging out and being here. Ooh, forgot. Ashy, if you want to go ahead and text Kendra, because she's always like, hey, I have all my notifications turned off for Discord and everything. Please text me when you go live. Well, I don't want to grab my phone and text right now because I'm a little busy doing the podcast thing. So shout out to Kendra if you're listening to this afterwards. And anybody else whose name is Kendra, how's it going? You're going to text from a girl named Ashy. Don't worry about it. But other than that, thank you guys so much for being here. I hope you're having a fantastic time. It is no longer smoky and awful in Kelowna anymore.
We got a huge downpour.
Yeah.
And we fucking needed that shit.
Absolutely. Finally, I was able to go sailing the other day, and I could see across the lake for the first time in 2 months. And I didn't have to worry about, if I go sailing today and a motorboat comes around the corner, are they going to be able to see me in time that they don't smash into me?
Bro, what fucking corner?
Well, it's like around the bridge. It's like the smoke was so bad. Like I went down to the couple times where I was like, oh, how bad is it? And I would drive down, and if I can't see across the lake, which our lake is long and narrow. It is not wide.
Nope.
It is not hard to swim across the lake. So if I can't see the other side of the lake, I don't sail because any motorboat could just come flying through, and I'm going.
Meep.
Yeah, I'm sailing. If I need to turn, I'm not turning on a dime. A motorboat's turning on a dime. But also, if they're going fucking ripping through the water and they see me at the last second, I'm dead. I'm not moving out of the way. I can't. I'm under sail. So.
Fuck that, in other words.
Yeah, pretty much. But then recently, I was able to see. It was nice. It was sunny. It was windy. It was good stuff. I went sailing. It was a fantastic time. I was out there for I went out at 10 a.m., so 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. I was out there for like 5 hours. It was great. A fantastic time. There you go. I breathed. Are you happy? Nerms? You happy? How do you say your new name, by the way? You used to be fucking Mr. Friday, but now you're Nerm1S.
Nermus.
So, is it Nermus? Is that what it means to be? Is it just Nermus? Well, Ethereal actually says it's Nermus. I'm going to assume it's Nermus, but otherwise you're Nerm1S because it's always fun saying people's names. Or Jackson is right. Nermus? Okay. Sounds good. We'll go with that.
I'm right.
You're right here is what you are.
Yeah.
It's
too.
I must say it's nice doing this podcast with you here in person instead of over Discord. Not that there was anything wrong with the over Discord, but it's just this dynamic is much more favorable in my eyes.
It flows.
Salt Bay is showing up with salt all over that beef. It feels so much better. Just slapping that salt in.
You have the weirdest metaphors for things.
We were talking about Salt Bay, and you wanted to bring it back in so it isn't just left alone. Hey, want to become famous? Buy followers, primes, and viewers on bigfollows.com! ! Why did you put spaces between? Oh, so that it wouldn't. That's genius. That bot is a genius.
Oh, yeah.
I was wondering, why on earth would you go space.space.com?
So it doesn't get bopped.
So it doesn't get bopped because it would know it's putting a link in and it would immediately get bopped. These bots are getting so smart. At the same time, goodbye, you unwanted crap. Get out of here. For everybody listening on the podcast, we had a bot show up in Twitch chat and it was genius, but also still didn't work.
Still a bot.
Still a bot. So nonetheless. Bots are only as smart as its creator. Well, that creator knew that most Twitch chats will ban links outright, so good on you. Good try, but also failure. Not working here.
It's like level 9 bots in Smash Brothers. Sometimes they'll absolutely wreck your face, and other times they just SD for no reason.
I've never had a level 9 bot get wrecked by me. I've always got slammed by
No.
Smash
That's what I
bots.
meant. Like it destroys you, and then other times it's like, I don't know how to do things, and then just falls off and dies.
I wish. I've never had that happen. I think
it's happened like twice for me, so it's not very often. But
I think the most challenging bot that I can face in Smash is like 5. Anything else beyond that, and I just feel like a fucking toddler holding a Switch. It makes me sad. So
you just gotta play more, dude.
I am so busy. I am unbelievably
Just do it while you're
busy.
on the crapper.
Yeah, I'll just throw. I'm busy on the crapper too. Holy, okay. So.
Oh no.
So
what have I done?
Okay, hold on. Let me clarify why I'm busy while I'm on the crapper. One moment. So this is something I haven't actually told anybody this yet. So this is news to everybody. Not really news at all. It's just something I've always started. Oh yeah, actually that bidet got you busy. By the way, if any of you don't have a bidet, you need to get a bidet. It sounds weird, and trust me, I was against it for the longest time because I was like, why on earth would I want to sit on a pressure washer up my bunghole? I don't want that. But then I got one.
Can you stop?
No, because this is important. Your health is important. Your butt's health is important. Okay, I'll make it short and sweet. Bidets clean your butt better than toilet paper. Numerous times when I'd be like at work, sitting or walking around, like my ass crack would itch so much because of poop particles stuck in there that I didn't get with the toilet paper. Dude, you gotta
stop. You're going too deep. Come back.
But speaking of going too deep, the bidet,
No!
The bidet gets in there
No!
and it washes all of it away. It's beautiful. You turn it on for a couple of seconds and and it just cleans it all away and it falls into the toilet and you have no more scratchiness in your ass crack. It's wonderful. I swear, I'm not memeing. I'm not being like ridiculous for the sake of being. I'm being sincere. I haven't needed to itch the inside of my ass crack since I got a bidet. It's wonderful. And it was $40 on Amazon. It was easy to set up. It was cheap, and it works. It just works. Anybody listening to audio only cannot see the face that Jackson's giving me right now, but it is chef's kiss. Nerm 1S, this man has no shame. I am trying to help all of you with your butt health. Is that not something I should be doing? Should I not
all of
help?
us have itchy ass cracks, my friend. I'm sorry to say.
Well, I'm happy that you don't. I did, and now I don't. Thank you, the bidet. So yeah, why am I here again? I don't know how to rate this. I'm assuming you have nothing else better to do, but also you're welcome. See, there are people sitting in this chat right now, or people listening to this podcast right now on their way home from work, or just painting Warhammer miniatures, or doing whatever, and they're thinking to themselves like, actually, you know what? That's not a bad idea. Like, my ass is actually really itchy from sometimes, and they're thinking about it right now. And to those people, you may not admit it to anyone publicly, but I see you, and you're welcome. We'll move on from that because you have nothing to offer for this
Absolutely
conversation.
fucking not.
So we'll move right. I wanted to talk about something before we got into the topic of the bidet, but I cannot remember what it was. What was it? Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, why I'm busy on the toilet, which is not the bidet.
Oh, no.
It's not the bidet. So I've started a side hustle. I have started. I don't know what it's technically called. It's something that I've seen a couple of people do before, and I've always thought like, oh, that would actually be a really good idea. Like a side hustle to make extra money that costs you nothing. So I eventually took the leap because it's a lot of work to get into, but as soon as you get into it, then it's very easy to maintain, and it costs you nothing, and it's very little time that you have to actually put into it afterwards. So what I did is I've basically. This is going to sound real, like, pretentious, and it's not. And I will explain. I've started my own clothing company. Now that sounds pretentious, but here's the deal. Here's how this works. So, I basically went to one of those print-on-demand websites like Redbubble or Teespring or Merch by Amazon. One of those things. Do you know what print-on-demand means?
When you buy something, it is then made.
Yeah, you don't make a bunch of them and then have to sell them. They make per order, print on demand. So I basically went to a website and I've made my own store. Now, this is also going to sound pretentious. I'm not going to name the store because I don't want people knowing that this is my stuff because I don't. It's not that I don't want to be associated with it. I'd rather it stay anonymous and just. Do its thing, sell its thing. I don't want my name to be tied with it because I don't want there to be any, like, something happens later on and someone finds a shirt or anything and they're like, oh, that was made by Torsten. That's why it's garbage or something. I don't know. I'd rather the store just be its own entity without my name attached to it for whatever happens in the future. That's it. It's that, again, I'm not trying to sound pretentious. I'm just trying to be clear. But nonetheless, so basically you make all these different designs and these everythings for a certain niche of category, and you put it on this print-on-demand website. And then basically afterwards, anytime someone buys a shirt from it, like regular merch sales, they will cover all the costs of the shipping and everything, and the person pays for the shirt, and then you get a small profit out of it. Like, for example, depending on what price you set the t-shirt at, like my t-shirts are set at a price where anytime someone buys it, I make roughly $6 profit from every t-shirt that I sell. I think sweaters are about $12, and then tank tops are roughly around $5-6, same as a t-shirt. As you go. But nonetheless, it costs you nothing to do because the print-on-demand company takes their profit when they make the shirt and they give you what's left. So it doesn't cost you anything to get into, and you only make profit back. Now, a lot of people will do that and they will call it there and be like, all right, go, and they just let it, accumulate money, and sometimes they'll get money later. I'm going a little harder into it because I really want it to actually pay back, soon and not years from now when it accumulates. So I've also made a separate Instagram page for this shop where I've basically taken a bunch of the logos from the things and I've photoshopped them onto models and such that have like blank shirts for you to Photoshop your logos onto, and I upload it to the Instagram page, and it's promoting as a clothing brand, which then circulates around Instagram's promotions and everything, and then people can like it, and they have a link to the shop right then and there, so it promotes the shop that way as well, which also costs me nothing. So that's what I've essentially started doing as a side hustle, and I started doing that a couple of days ago, and it's been a lot of work right off the get-go because I have to make like a ton of designs to fill this store with designs and different merch and everything. But once you get like a decent enough category, then you just have to upload like keep the store fresh. Maybe upload a new design once every week or so, and then you posting a bunch to the Instagram maybe once every couple of days or something, which takes very little time. You could do it while sitting on the toilet taking a poo. See, now we've circled right around back to why I said I was busy while I was on the toilet. So, anyway, that's what I've started doing as a side hustle to hopefully make income. I haven't made any income as of yet, but I also started doing this like 3-4 days ago. So we'll see. But yeah, that's about that. That's why I'm busy on the toilet. It had nothing to do with the bidet. It had everything to do with that little side hustle. But anyways, speaking of side hustles, let's hustle through some Twitch chat here. Jackson, please change the topic. Oh, that's still talking about the bidet.
Yes, it was.
Theory Lashley, Oh God Tour is part of a multi-level marketing scheme. No, it's not a marketing scheme. That sounds way cooler. But
I don't know. It is a marketing scheme, but it's not multi-level.
How is it a marketing scheme? There's no scheme involved.
What do you mean?
It's not a scheme. It's basically I've made merch. People see that merch. They buy the merch. They get the merch, and I get profit. How is there a scheme?
That is the scheme. The scheme isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Oh, okay. Well, fair enough. Okay, yeah. My side hustle's a scheme, but not a bad scheme.
It's not it is a marketing scheme, but it's not a multi-level marketing scheme.
Fair. All right. Yeah, we can go with that. It's not a multi-level marketing scheme. Fair enough. Yes, the first half of the podcast is just about toilets. We didn't talk about toilets at all, actually. We only talked about bidets, which are not toilets. They are attachments for toilets.
Same fucking difference.
All right, fine. We'll move right away from the bidet, and we'll right away. But I was trying. I had a huge
Good
brain
try.
That was one hell of a stumble. I was trying to like wordplay bidet, like good day, onto something else to like segue into a different segue. That was the word I was looking for. I was trying to use bidet to segue into another topic, and I fucking fumbled the ball so hard.
You did not Dean Kamen it.
Oy vey bidet. Here's the segue into our next topic of the day: Warhammer Plus. I'm going to talk about it. Oh, no. You know what? I want you to talk about something. Do you have anything on your... Because I've talked about the bidet. I've talked about my side hustle. I want you... You could talk about your army. You're very close to finishing that, or how you decided...
Finishing, quote-unquote.
Quote-unquote finishing. Or you could talk about how you went to Quantum and went, how much Chaos Black do you have left? 2. They're both mine now.
Yeah.
You fill the void with something.
Yeah. Basically, I'm very close to at least finishing the build of my Necrons. Because painting is a whole other beast. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a lot easier than my fucking towel, I'll tell you that much. But, yeah, so I realized I went through, I have an app called Figure Case, and that is just a little thing that has, you have your armies, you have all the models within those armies, and then in the model themselves, that has how many you have built, how many you have primed, how many are in progress. It's actually really handy. Kind of gives you a progress bar, and I really like it. So I went in there, and it's like, just scrolling through, and it's like, I don't actually have that much left. Is this how it feels to almost finish an army?
I must be, because I've never finished an army. It's very
You're close, though. You're very close.
Not really. I still have
You're
to paint.
closer than I am.
I disagree wholeheartedly. I still disagree wholeheartedly.
What do you mean?
I have to paint my Warp Talons. I have to paint my Venom Crawler. I have to paint my 2 Obliterators. I have to finish painting Lord Kazdax, he was just a Chaos Lord, for those who have no idea what that means. I just named him Kazdax. What is it?
Because he kit bashed him.
Yeah, because I kit bashed him. So, yeah,
That's great, by the way.
Thank you. So, yeah, I have the 5 Warp Talons, the Venom Crawler, the 2 Obliterators, Mr. Kazdax, and then, I still have all the unbuilt cultists from the Dark Vengeance box set and the Chosen from that Dark Vengeance box set. So, I have a ton. And the unpainted 10 Chaos Marines as well. And then technically...
But you have more painted than I do.
But that's not fair, because I've had that army way longer than you. I started collecting back when I was like 13. I bought my first start collecting box of Chaos Space Marines back when it was just a Rhino, 10 Marines, and maybe I think an Aspiring Champion. And that was it. Oof. And it was $100 Canadian back then, and it's still like $110 now for 10 Marines, Obliterators, Master Possession, Venom. Holy shit! Actually, you get a lot more for $100 nowadays than you do for.
Yes, you do.
Wow. Good on you, Games Workshop. I just realized that. You know what? Games Workshop, later in this podcast, I'm about to bash the shit out of you. But right now, you get a hats off. I didn't realize that's actually
Still fucking expensive.
still expensive, but I just mean in comparison, because I remember I spent exactly $100 on my first Start Collecting box because that was a $100 bill that I got from my grandma for my birthday. My mom was super pissed, but so I remember exactly, like, it was $100 exactly because I had a $100 bill, and now it's $110 for arguably a lot more. So good on you, Games Workshop. You did good by the Start Collecting box or Chaos Space Marines. I'm real nervous what's going to happen when they actually get their new codex next year, but whatever. We'll deal with that when it happens.
And their combat patrol.
Yeah, and their combat patrol box, which, I mean, we'll deal with that when it happens. If the models are great. You know what I really want out of anything? I just want them not to make models exclusive to the combat patrol box. Because goddamn,
They haven't yet.
They haven't yet.
Which is good.
I'm really hoping they don't for Chaos, because like Chaos Start Collecting box is the only Start Collecting box that I'm aware of that has models strictly for the Start Collecting box. Space Marine never had models strictly for Start Collecting.
Nope. Well, they're also the favorite child, so
yes, but even like all the other ones, like Tyranids, I don't think they had any models exclusive to Start Collecting. Tau, I don't think had any exclusive. Like, most of them didn't have any, but then Chaos is like Obliterators only Start Collecting, Master Possession only Start Collecting, Venom Crawler only Start Collecting,
which is
like
bullshit.
Yeah, is like the only thing
because those models are all fucking cool.
They're amazing looking. All of them are incredible on the board.
Like, they're useful.
Yeah, every one of those models is useful, but every single one of them is only available as a whole set. It is so annoying. And then
again, you always do need Chaos Marines.
Yes, but that is the only thing that I can buy separately is 10 Marines. The
And the Greater Possessed.
And there's Greater Possessed in the box too that you can't get elsewhere. God, it's still a great deal, but at the same time, fuck you, Games Workshop.
Like, those models should have been separated like years ago.
Oh, absolutely. They should have only been involved in the Start Collecting box for like a couple of months when it first came out, and
as they do,
and then made them separate. I mean, they did the same thing with Indominus.
Yep.
Almost everything from Indominus you can now buy as a separate box on its own, except for some of the named, or quote unquote named characters, the prominent characters you get as Masters of the Champions or whatever, the Chapter Master. No, Heroes. Ancient. Well, I'm talking about what
the Blade Guard Ancient.
There's the Blade Guard Ancient. There's the Captain. What the hell is it called? The
Lieutenant.
Yeah, the Primaris Lieutenant, and then the Chaplain, or not the Chaplain. The guy with the bald head with the giant sword with one shoulder peg missing.
The Judiciary.
Yeah, they all come as a
the Blade Guard Ancient is also in there too.
Yes, the Ancient with the banner. So they all come as a collective. You can't buy any of them separately.
That is the same with that is also the same with the Necron side.
Yes.
The Scorpec Lord doesn't have it. Isn't anywhere. The Plasmancer is only in there as well. The Reanimator is also in there. I also built him.
Nice.
And I did the whole "Don't talk to me and my son ever again."
Yeah,
it was great.
It was fun.
And the Crypto Thralls are also not in there.
Yeah.
And that particular type of Overlord is also in. Not for anything else.
Yeah, well, that's the same thing with the Primaris Captain, because there are two separate models of Primaris Captain.
That's the one that has the Storm Shield and sword.
It's modeled with that. I mean, regardless, you can give it that when you're playing the game. You just tell your opponent it has that, but modeled with it, that's the only model that has the Storm Shield, where the original one is standing on a rock with a giant bolt pistol or bolt rifle.
I love that one just because he's just so chunky with the fucking fuck off.
Both the Primaris Captains are dope looking models. But we're not supposed to be praising Games Workshop. We're supposed to be angry at Games Workshop because they made Start Collecting Chaos Marines.
And you want to know the biggest slap in the face?
What? The price?
No. Yes. The price of just those particular models that you can't get anywhere else. Like, if you go onto the Necrons and go to, I think it's like the Royal Court, it's called?
The Royal Court, and then the ones are like Champion Masters or something like that.
$170.
Yeah, for just those models.
Fucking ridiculous.
Indominus itself was like 200.
230.
It was like 200, 230, something like that. And you got, so you get all those models, plus all
20 warriors,
plus 20 warriors, plus some scarabs, plus
Scorpec
destroyers, plus the entire Primaris Marine half, which includes its own separate
Blade
models.
Guard Ancients,
the
Assault Intercessors.
And the Primaris Lieutenant, the Primaris Captain.
Those would have been part of the set.
Yeah, part of the set. But nonetheless, just all that is ridiculous. And then as well, I mean, talking about the same thing we talked about earlier, where the get into 9th edition Warhammer recruit box, the recruit box, $60.
$65. Pretty good.
65? Okay, I thought it was only 60.
65.
Oh, 65. Okay, nonetheless, $65 gets you Primaris Lieutenant, Royal Warden, 10 Necron Warriors, 5 Assault Intercessors, a little pop-up game board, and dice, and
plus 3 Scarabs.
All of that for $65. Or you could get just the Necron Warriors from the
55.
same box for $55. $10 extra.
Bullshit.
$10 extra gets you the entire Primaris side of that and everything, which on their own, just the characters are $30 on their own.
Yeah.
It's like you can buy 2 characters from that box for $60, or you can get those 2 characters plus all that extra stuff for an additional $5. Like, what the fuck is happening with this goddamn pricing? Holy.
That's why I was like, hey, I need more warriors. You wanna like kind of split this?
Yeah. No, I don't. Because you pay $55 for 10 Necron Warriors or $65 for 10 Necron Warriors plus everything we just listed. And then you could just sell everything you just listed and those Necron Warriors pay for themselves. It's unbelievable. It's both unbelievable but at the same time an incredible deal.
Thank you, Games Workshop, for being fucking retarded.
Yeah, thank you for being just absolute twits. Ethereal actually says, I want to play Sisters of Battle. Ironically, a small part of me wants to play Sisters of Battle too.
You know what?
But to be fair, a small part of me kind of wants to play almost every other army. Like, anytime I look at an army, I'm like, I probably won't play them. But there's like, every time I look at Eldar, I'm like, their models are super old. But a small part of me, a tiny little part of me is like,
I like them bullet ball heads.
And actually, no. A small part of me is like, I really want to play Harlequins. You know what's the number one thing that I don't want to play Harlequins for? I don't want to paint them. Holy fuck, I don't want to paint them. God.
Matt just finished his. They look great.
They look great.
But,
holy fuck,
my God.
I don't want to go through that process. It's unreal. For those of you who have no idea what we're talking about, get out your favorite search engine and Google search Warhammer 40K Harlequin models. You'll understand why we don't want to paint them, because holy
Same reason
shit.
Neither of us will ever play Lamenters.
Yeah, same reason. Exact same reason.
Exact same fucking reason.
Almost the same kind of design reason. So, oh, God.
Absolutely not.
And like, if I was to play Harlequins, I would either have to A, commit to trying to paint that like different colored diamond pattern all the time, or just, you know what, I'm going to take this spray can, and go, and I'm going to take a third little bit of wash, 3 colors, tournament ready, let's go. It's just like, fuck it. But speaking of saying fuck it, go ahead and finish your thing before I get onto another tyrant rant about Warhammer Plus.
Oh, what do you mean finish my thing?
Well, you were about to say something and then I interrupted you.
Oh, about the Soul Sisters battle. Like,
oh yeah,
they're getting so many fucking cool models, like the Nundums. I love the name. I'm sorry. am I wrong?
No, it's a great name. It's fantastic. Nundums.
They're just so fucking cool looking.
They are.
Like, they're like the Grey Knight Dread Knight.
The Dread Knight, yeah.
Except not completely stupid, not a baby carrier.
See, the hilarious thing is everyone calls the Dread Knight like a baby carrier.
But now they fuck.
Well, I mean, they did before, but now they are even worse. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, you fought one.
I know, it was awful. Holy God, it was awful. But nonetheless, I've always liked the way the Dread Knight looks. And like, everyone's like, it's just a baby carrier. It looks like a dad with a little baby carrier in its pouch. And I'm like, you know what? I see that. And I understand that, but I still love the design. I still think it looks awesome. And if I saw it in real life, I'm not going to look at the thing and go, oh, look at the little baby carrier. No, I'm going to be like, that thing's going to fuck. And I'm going to die.
If I had to choose between that and a Dreadnought, it'd be the Dreadnought every time.
It depends on the Dreadnought for me.
Oh, yeah?
Because there's so many different looking Dreadnoughts now.
True.
They're no longer just the box with arms.
Okay, this might be a hot take, but I think the best looking ones, Custodians, 100%.
Custodian Dreadnought?
Absolutely. The Telemon and the Cestius one?
I'm gonna have to disagree. Not my favorite.
Are you sure?
It's a good looking Dreadnought. It's not my favorite looking Dreadnought.
Is it the Hellbrute?
The Hellbrute Dreadnought? What? The Hellbrute is not. I struggle to call the Hellbrute a Dreadnought. It's Chaos' version of a Dreadnought.
It's the Chaos version of Dreadnought. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Is it the Darrow?
I don't know what the Darrow is. That
It's
sounds
basically
familiar.
a dreadnought that has like 2 guns the size of it on each side.
Oh, right. No.
Which does look cool. Let's be honest
It
here.
does look dope, but no. No. My favorite looking dreadnought is probably always going to be the OG dreadnought.
The big box on legs.
The big box on legs is probably going to always be my favorite looking dreadnought.
Really?
Just because it's what I'm familiar
It's
with.
iconic.
It's iconic, and
Yeah.
that's the same reason. Like for my Primaris Marines, I'm painting them Blood Ravens. Blood Ravens aren't an official army. They don't.
And
have,
if they are, they're fucking Ultramarines.
Pretty much.
Which makes no goddamn sense.
Yeah, the fucking what little lore that Games Workshop has approved as like actual legit lore has said they're a fucking subchapter of Ultramarines, and I'm like, I'm sorry, no, they're a subchapter of Blood Ravens, or sorry, a subchapter of Blood Angels, and that's that because
You can't change my
you're not
mind.
going to change my mind on it. They're a subchapter of Blood Angels, just like the fucking Flesh Throwers. But whatever, I digress. Nonetheless,
Redemptors look fucking cool too.
they do look cool.
Especially when fucking Peter does them, because holy shit, those poses look so good.
Who's Peter?
The guy I played last week.
That Peter. I was
Yeah.
I was like, there's no Peter on Dice Check. Who's Peter?
No. No.
Gotcha.
And I guess we can talk about that too. I played my first game with my Necrons. They're not all painted; they're just primed. But
Wait, that
still.
was your first game ever with your Necrons?
Yeah.
No. Wait, no. Oh,
With
physically
the-
in person.
physically with
Okay.
the models,
I was
yes.
like, I've played your Necrons hundreds of times, but no, yeah, physically in person, that is true.
Yep. So
And you slapped him.
yeah,
It's fucking.
it was
ouch.
brutal.
To be fair,
He didn't play a very good list against it, even though he like almost killed off my Lich Guard turn 1,
well, I mean,
which is a feat in itself.
he was playing Tyranids, but also, so I mean, there's a couple of things that we can factor in there that just are out of anyone's control. Tyranids have an 8th edition codex. You have a 9th edition codex.
I'd argue the Necron one is not the most like out of balance one. It's probably the most balanced compared to Drukhari,
Well,
Sisters. And what's the other one that's real big right now?
Admech.
Admech, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but
If I was up against Admech, I would have got wiped turn 1.
well, shit. The men who want to be robots would destroy the robots who want to be men. That's a shame.
Oof. How dare you do me dirty
I'm
like
so
this.
sorry, but it's true.
But no. Yeah, I think it was his like second game with Tyranids, and it was only 1,000
Well,
points.
and that was
so-
the second thing I was going to say. Is like both Tyranids are still on 8th edition codex where Necrons have their 9th, but also he just got Tyranids. He hasn't played them very often, so he's not familiar with how they function and how he likes to play them.
Yeah, he was
So-
playing a very shooty Chronos list,
Yeah,
which
so-
was really scary. But as soon as I got in his face, it was all over.
which is ironic for a Necron, but
My dude, I went across half the fucking
The table?
turn 1 charged him almost.
okay. Again, 1,000 points, much smaller table.
Yes, much smaller table. Yeah. But still, my Lich Guard are moving 7 inches because
God.
of the sudden storm and then just the buff that the Overlord gives.
That's outrageous.
But he killed 9 of them turn 1.
wow.
Yeah, like I had
With
one guy
what?
left. The Exocrine, and he had Hive Guard too.
Oh, okay.
Like he mulched it, but the thing is, his biggest thing that he did not fire at turn 1 was the Doomstalker.
Well,
He didn't touch it.
did he even know what it does?
The model for the Doomstalker is a bug looking dude who's real tall that has a giant gun on the back.
Yes, but a lot of things have giant guns that are really not that spooky anymore.
Wait, like what?
Like defilers for Chaos Space Marines. They quite literally have an
yeah.
enormous cannon coming out of their chest hole, and nobody plays them.
That's true.
Nobody plays defilers.
You can't get them.
Well, that too. But Vindicators quite literally have one of the biggest cannons on any tank in
24 inch.
Warhammer, and they have a 24-inch range, and it's really not that bad.
I mean, Demeki had played them recently on one of the videos, and they did work.
Did he win?
No.
That's my point. Modeled with a big gun doesn't mean big gun goes boom. It means big gun has potential to go boom, but probably won't.
But yeah, but then again, I also got super, super lucky with the shots on the Doomstalker turn 1. I rolled 5 shots because it's a D6 damage and a D6 shot weapon. And I hit like 3 of them. They all wounded. And they dealt exactly the amount of wounds I needed it to do. So it was like, I looked at it and I was like, oh man, I'm so fucking sorry. There's no way I should have done that.
Oh well, it is what it is.
Also, it's kind of funny because my list kind of got, because one of the abilities of the dynasty I was running was that it has a 6-inch pregame move.
Okay.
I wasn't able to use that because the mission was like no.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the mission was like no,
Oh.
you're not allowed.
Oh, get wrecked.
Yeah, so I was like, oh.
Even handicapped, you still fucking slapped him.
Then again, with that, everything was OPSEC.
Oh.
So I just like charged onto his own objectives and like they're mine now.
Well, that's unfortunate. Poor guy. Oh, well, I say poor guy, but also I'm kind of happy because he fucking absolutely annihilated me last time I played against him. So
yeah, you did pretty good this time. You got close with points.
I went toe to toe with a 9th edition Codex of Grey Knights, but that's only because he decided, you know what, Drago is pretty strong. Drago can take Corn Berserkers. No, he couldn't. Drago got swarmed out of his mind.
Chain axes go brr.
Chain swords and chain axes both go brr. It's just
You just drowned him in dice. That's all you had to do.
Pretty much, because he had never faced. He knew like world eaters were like melee combat, but he'd never faced berserkers before. So
he didn't know that they could fight twice.
Yeah, if they could fight twice, and then if I really want to, I can make them fight 3 times if I really want to. And
anything dies.
And then he was also playing Imperium, so if I really want to, I can make them fight 3 times and have extra attacks on 5s and 6s. I could just really just.
You didn't need to though.
Do you want to drown today? You're gonna drown in plastic dice. That's how many dice I'm rolling in this combat.
How many dice did you roll?
I don't even know. Too many. Because here's the thing. Most of our audience that doesn't know Warhammer is left at this point, so I'm okay continuing talking about Warhammer. But so here, let's do some. Anyone who's really, really good at math will be able to figure this out on the fly. I'm not going to because I hate doing math and calculating. Mm-hmm. But so here's what happened. So I have 10 berserkers.
You got all of them?
I had all 10 of them. None of them were dead. I had all 10 of them in on this man.
You know what?
So
enough.
I had 10 berserkers. The aspiring champion has 3 attacks. The other berserkers have 2 attacks. Base. So the aspiring champion has 3 attacks, 4 attacks because he charged, 5 attacks because world eaters have the ability Butcher's Nails, which gives them
attacks,
which gives them an additional attack on the charge in, and then 6 attacks because the Shardy's Chainsword gets you an additional attack. So one man has 6 attacks. The other 9 have 5 attacks. So
and they all do it twice.
So someone who's really good at math can take 9 boys, hitting 5 times per boy, and then one additional one hitting 6 times. And then once you get the total of that number, times it by 2. Did you just do that in your head just now?
No, it's very wrong.
Oh, okay. I was like, you are.
It might be wrong, but that's like an amount of dice that you would have been rolling is like 100 and some dice.
It was ridiculous. It was unbelievable.
So did you do like 20 at a time? It's like, are you dead yet?
Pretty much. I can't remember, but yeah. So someone who wants to do all that math, just take 5 times 9,
45,
and then add an additional 6 to it.
That's wrong.
Here, you know what?
That's right.
You know what we're gonna do? You know what? Anyone who doesn't want to do math and who really wants to find out the number, we're just gonna do this live on tape. What is 5 times 9?
The answer is 45.
Okay, so 45 plus 6, that's 51. So 51 attacks.
So I was right.
So 51 attacks, and they fight twice. So that's 102 attacks.
I was right.
102 dice. That's how many dice I rolled.
Wounding on 3s.
Wounding on 3s. But nonetheless.
Hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s.
Yeah, but
so like
it was a lot.
At least
it was a lot.
Like 50 wounds.
Something like that.
50 wounds, -1. Not that it mattered on him.
Not that it mattered.
3 up save.
Yeah, but
you just drowned him in dice.
He still died.
That's all you got to do sometimes.
Yeah. So at the end of all of that all you need to know about this is that I rolled individually 102 dice
against one dude.
And
he died.
And he absolutely got obliterated.
How overkill did he get? Do you remember?
We didn't finish counting. Because I roll all the dice and we got to the wound part, and then he rolled like a couple of invulnerable saves, and then after a couple he rolled like one more, and I had like I don't know, a bunch of dice set off to the side, and we just kept on like counting them out every time he did like an additional roll for that one. And then once he failed his last one, he was like, and he's dead. And I had like I don't know, a whole pile of dice still ready to go. So I was like, he's dead like 500 times over.
Yeah.
But anyway, Ethereal Ashley, no thanks. Don't worry, Sisters of Battle don't roll that many dice.
They can.
They cannot roll 102 dice on one melee barrage. No, there's no way.
A big group of 20 sisters kitted out with chainswords, maybe?
Well, why on earth are you running 20 sisters with chainswords?
Because you wanna throw dice.
It's
the same reason that Matt runs Termagants.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, speaking of all of this stuff, we're going to continue talking about Games Workshop a little bit here because I just want to make a real quick chainswords are sexy. I've never heard that statement in my life, but you heard it here first, folks. Chainswords are sexy.
That's coming from Ashy of all people.
It is coming from Ashy of all people.
Nice.
So, we're still talking about Warhammer, so this is probably just going to be the fucking Warhammer episode. But
damn right it's going to be.
It is what it is. It's,
hey, you said that we weren't talking about, we weren't saying what we're talking about on the thing earlier. You're like, oh,
what?
It's just two guys having a bromance. We're not talking about that
true.
shit.
That is
we're
true.
talking about that
We're
shit.
talking about that shit now. There you go. Now people can be like, if looking for an episode about Warhammer, I'll put in the description. This is complete. This is Bidets and Warhammer. What an interesting conversation. Bidets and Warhammer.
What's the thing you're about to talk about? What's that one called?
Hammer and Bolter? What? I don't get it. I'm missing something.
I feel like you could change it to be that.
Hammer and Bidater? Bidater and Bolter? Bidets and Bolters? Bidets and Bolters! Boom! There's the title of this episode. Bidets and Bolters. What were you thinking? I don't get.
Pretty much the same.
Okay, good enough. Bidets and Bolters. There we go. That's what we're going.
Oh no!
Dear
What
Lash,
have I done?
You gave an excellent title to an excellent episode with excellent hosts.
Anyways.
Let's give her here.
Anyways.
That was the weakest high five. That was like you were going to hold my hand. That's much better.
What if I wanted to hold your hand?
Well, then there's the bromance everyone's been waiting for. If you're listening, we're holding hands. And if you want to see it, come to twitch.tv/Wings and Riffs
Don't
podcast.
do that. Don't do that.
Links in the description down below. Ethereal Lashy, quick change the topic to your personal life, Jackson. All right, talk about your personal life before I dive into Bidets and Bolters, actually Hammer and Bolter.
I have one, yes.
That's better than most.
Surprisingly to myself as well.
Solid. You know what else is solid? Let's go back to the bidet for a second. No, I'm joking.
I don't want to hear about anything that's solid that has to do with bidets. I'm sorry, Tor.
That's okay. That's okay. No. Okay. So I don't want to go ranting on this for too much. If you're listening to the podcast early and you want to hear my full thoughts about this, personal shout out. I do have a YouTube video coming out talking about this episode. It's roughly 8 to 10 minutes long if you want to get the full details. So you can check it out there. But basically, so Warhammer Plus is a subscription service coming out that I was genuinely excited for. Primarily because of Astartes, because that's
Astartes is great.
Astartes is great.
If you haven't watched it, look it up.
Yep. I mean, even if the original creators' videos aren't on YouTube, someone has re-uploaded them somewhere, I promise you.
They're not there anymore?
You don't know about any of this, do you?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. Oh, Jackson, I'm about to break your heart. So, so Jackson, and anybody else who doesn't know, I'm about to break your heart. I didn't realize you didn't know this. So, Games Workshop is a wonderful company, full of wonderful people.
And they love
with brilliant...
to make people work only for them.
Uh-huh. You are absolutely correct.
Yeah.
So, what happened? Oh, this happened to the Exodate, by the way, as well.
I know.
Oh, so you did know about that
I
one.
know that they took all the creators. I didn't realize they took down all the videos, too.
They took, and they did the same thing to text-to-speech.
They actually took them down?
I don't know if they took them down.
No, he's just not making them anymore.
He's not making them anymore, but I mean, it's a matter of time before Games Workshop reaches out and says, "Hey, take down your videos or come work for us," because that's what they told. That's what they told the people creating the Exodite. That's what they told Astartes project. That's what they told another guy who was making a Black Templars fan animation. That's name I can't remember. But a bunch of fan animations on YouTube. Basically, Games Workshop reached out to them and gave them two options. Either one, you take down your fan animation because it's our IP that you are using without our permission, or two, you take it down anyways and then come work for us and continue your projects under our IP, and we will pay you and put you on our new subscription service, Warhammer Plus. Both options require you removing your videos from YouTube.
Yikes.
And that's what happened to Astartes, that's what happened to Exodite, that's what happened to a ton of creations. They removed them from YouTube and said all of our current projects and future projects are available in one place, Warhammer Community. And then eventually they're going to take them from Warhammer Community as well and put them into Warhammer Plus, which is coming out on Wednesday, August 25th for those of you who are watching this past Wednesday. So yeah, but a lot of people basically re-uploaded the Astartes ones and downloaded them. So if you want to watch the original Astartes, you can find it. It's not going to be the original one from the creator, but it is Astartes nonetheless. Also, I think you're aware when they re-upload the Astartes to the Warhammer community, Games Workshop changed a bunch of sound effects and the music that was used at the end.
Why so?
Because my guess, nobody said why. It was just something that was easily noticed. My guess is probably the music that he was using was.
Well, I know the first one, like in the first couple of episodes, I know that was 2 Steps from Hell.
Yeah, and that's probably what was going on. Is that a couple of music stuff was probably licensed from other people, and Games Workshop went, we don't want licensing from anybody else. We want our own homemade, or at least your own homemade music and episode.
I know the sound effects for the armor when at the end. I know that was for Fallout 4.
Well, there you go. That's probably why it was changed, and that's what most people theorize was that the music probably came from an outside source outside of Games Workshop, and Games Workshop doesn't like sharing. It doesn't like anything other than its own personal creations being involved in its IP, and that's why it was changed. Which, unfortunately, for me,
I'm kind of for because it makes it theirs.
It does make it theirs, but I
also,
really liked the OG ending to Astartes. The music they used was so perfect. It gave me quite literally no cap chills. It gave me chills. And the new one, I'm like, it's okay, it's good. If I didn't know the old version existed, I'd have no problem with it. But the old version's ending music was just the marching, the squeal coming in. It was just so fucking good. Which again, YouTube, you can find it. It's not gone forever. But anyways, but yeah, so they took all that and they said, no matter what answer you give, your projects are gone from YouTube, whether you work for us or not, and that's what happened to all of them. And now they're all making projects for Warhammer Plus coming out, or they just stopped altogether. Like text-to-speech has stopped altogether because he's too worried. And I think I talked about this briefly with you as well, because they have their own battle reports coming out with Warhammer Plus, and they have.
You're wondering how bad that's going to affect everyone else.
I mean, everyone's worried. And like Dave from Mini Wargaming was talking about this on Twitter, and he says, I don't see them doing that. That seems like a really big reach, but at the same time, a small part of him can see them doing that. Because as soon as they release it and they say, this is our Warhammer Battle Reports, it is under their IP, they've named it, they've trademarked it, they can go after anybody making Warhammer titled Battle Reports, and they can go, you're using our IP, that is from Warhammer Plus, take it down or rename it. They very easily could do that, which is the dumbest shit. And I think
that would literally kill their game, I think.
Well, and that's the other topic is a lot of people are saying is that with how far Games Workshop has gone with controlling their IP right now, like it is not a question that all the fan animations, Astartes alone, got so many people interested into Games Workshop and Warhammer 40K as a whole, and it cost Games Workshop nothing. It cost them $0 for that much free promotion from someone who is a fan of the game.
Yep.
Now, if anyone wants to see Astartes, they have to either A, watch a re-upload versions of it on YouTube from other channels, which will only exist until Games Workshop comes around with their ban hammer and takes it off of YouTube, or 2, they have to go and find the originals on Warhammer Plus, which, how are they going to know Warhammer Plus exists? There's no promotion being done for it. The only promotion for Warhammer Plus is on Warhammer Community. Yep. Who is going to Warhammer Community? It's not a promoted thing. So they're spending so much money to take back all these fan animations and put them in their own subscription service with no promotion to this subscription service.
And I don't feel like the subscription service is going to really keep it.
They're
not going to survive.
I don't think so.
They're not going to have as much content as they believe they do. Like you could watch everything that they have on there in a weekend.
Probably, but
if that.
But see, that's what they're banking on is they have all these animations and all these different titles. Like they have, I think it was between 12 and 14 different shows coming out. Of course, they're still under production and they're still going to come out. And they're saying they're going to be an episode every single week for one of those shows. So every single week there will be a new episode for one of the many shows that they're doing. So eventually they'll get to the point where they have a lot of content on there. But the content will only continue to being produced as long as money is coming in. And I've seen a lot of creators on YouTube and Twitter talking about, are you going to subscribe to Warhammer Plus with everything that they've been doing in terms of controlling their IP and fan animations? And a large majority are saying no.
Absolutely
a large
not.
majority are like, I'm not going to support that. You had free promotion and everyone was happy with YouTube, and now you're taking it all away and putting it under a paid subscription that you're not promoting outside of your own website. If no one knows about your website, no one fucking knows where to find it. It's so dumb. It's unbelievably stupid. But anyways, we haven't even talked about fucking the episode of Hammer and Bolter. This whole thing that I want to talk about. So, okay, so as a way to entice people to get to Warhammer Plus, they released episode 1 for one of their shows, Hammer and Bolter, which is very interestingly done. It's very cartoony in its animation style.
It looks very Darkest Dungeon.
It's very much Darkest Dungeon in terms of its cartoony
Animation
style. And I was hyped. I saw the screenshots for it, and I was like, okay, that looks interesting. Let's talk about Commissar Yarrick, who's a fucking badass.
Commissar Yarrick.
And Glasgow Thraka is also in it. So I was like, okay, this looks. Oh yeah, it's primarily about Commissar Yarrick and then Glasgow Thraka and their like. Their rivalry is what it's primarily about. So I was like, okay, I'm interested and I wanted to see it. So when it came out free for 24 hours to check out as a promotion of like, hey, more stuff like this is on Warhammer Plus, so you can subscribe to it, plus everything else they're offering. And I watched it. Here's the thing. This is my short review.
Lay it on me, boy.
If I watched that episode on YouTube, if this was a uploaded fan animation on YouTube, I'd praise the ever-loving shit out of it.
But it's not.
It's super well done. It had vibrant colors. The voice acting is phenomenal. The music was fun and entertaining. And the animation overall was great. There were parts of it that I was like, that was really fucking interesting. That was really cool. I liked what they did there. And I would give all that praise because I would think it's coming from a standard 1, maybe 2-person YouTube creators. But it's not. This is coming from a developed team that is being funded by a multi-billion, not million, billion-dollar company that has put their name on this project saying, this is our stuff, we've produced this. Games Workshop is very good at making animations. The introduction to 9th edition is unfucking believable. They have a mobile. They have a lot of mobile games, which is a whole different subject. But they have one mobile game called Lost Crusade, which is their newest one. The opening animation to Lost Crusade, a mobile game, is unfucking real. It's so goddamn good, and I believe that comes from a billion-dollar company. This teaser episode that's supposed to entice people to subscribe to Warhammer Plus looks like it's made by YouTubers. And if it was, it has all the praise needed, but it's not. It's made by a multi-billion-dollar company. And there are so many things about it. There are stock sound effects in there. Ironic, because we were just talking about Astartes and all that music changes. No, there are stock sound effects in this animation. There are so many times where it's a freeze frame, and there's small little bits of movement here, but everything else is just standard, like stock still. There's one perfect example. There's a scene where a bunch of drop pods come down with a bunch of blood angels and a dreadnought, and they pour out and they're fighting a bunch of orcs. And then it does this wide shot where you're supposed to see this giant battlefield. What you see like 2 or 3 Marines take a couple of steps and take some shots, and a dreadnought is standing just outside, completely still. He's not firing his bolter. He's not doing any flare. He's not moving. He's completely perfectly still. And like all the orcs are perfectly standing still. 3 Marines take a couple steps and start shooting their bolters in this massive combat. Like, it's not a standstill. This is the middle of a battle that we just saw close-ups of them fighting. And then the wide shot has like 3 people moving. And
that
it's
makes
like
no sense.
But the thing is, the reason it is that small, and like a lot of people say, oh, it's creative choice. You don't have a standstill. No, these are blood angels and orcs. There's no creative choice to have a standstill. I'm
Absolutely
sorry.
fucking not.
It's budget. It's Games Workshop being like, this is the budget you have to make this animation, and they have a time constraint. They don't have time to animate and move every single little individual person on that screen because they don't have the time or the budget. And you know where that time and budget's coming from? It's coming from Games Workshop, who is not giving it to them. And then the same thing. I don't know what happened with the writers of this, but the orcs do not behave like orcs. The animation is told by the perspective of an orc telling the story of Commissar Yarrick and how he's a badass and how
It
all
should be
orcs fear him.
ridiculous.
It should be. But here's the thing. So it starts off with 2 orcs are like trying to get at this what's the mini orc called? What is it called? Gretchen. They're trying to get at this Gretchen because they're going to eat the Gretchen.
Of course.
Just because they want to. So they're trying to get this Gretchen, they're going to eat this Gretchen. And then this big orc comes by, takes the 2 orcs and is like, we don't eat Gretchens. What are you doing? You're going to be nice. And like puts one of the orcs on the ground and puts his giant killer claw over the orc's neck and is like, now listen here. You guys are going to smarten up and I'm going to tell you the story of like this
The
major thing
biggest
of the biggest like baddest human. And he like released the orcs and he sits them down and they sit by a campfire and they quite literally talk about Commissar Yarrick while these 2 orcs and this Gretchen they were going to eat and this big orc boss sit by a campfire and talk about Commissar Yarrick. Now, if that's the creative choice, that's a creative choice. Nothing wrong with that. But these are orcs. These are 40k orcs. They fight each other and eat each other, and no one gives a shit. But now we're just supposed to believe that the orcs, they pound and everything, and they're like, no, listen here, we're going to take a break, we're going to be buds, and I'm going to talk about Commissar Yarrick. Sure, it's funny, but at the same time, it's not realistic to what we believe orcs from 40k should act like.
At a minimum, that Killer Claw should have crunched his head.
Absolutely,
at a minimum.
At a minimum. He had him on the ground with the Killer Claw around his neck, and he went, listen here, we don't eat Gretchen. Gretchen need to grow up and be strong like us. Now you're going to know what is actually strong and can fight us. Let me tell you about Commissar Yarrick. And I'm like, that does not seem realistic.
To be fair, I think a big enough story from a big enough orc could potentially get them enraptured enough. But it doesn't feel right.
It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like what we know 40k orcs to act like is what I had the biggest issue with.
Yep,
so
I agree.
That had, I mean, plus all the other myriads were like so many different scenes coming up where like there's the smallest bits of movement from like a bit of cloth here or someone moving their arm here, but vast majority of it is just static standstill stuff because they didn't have. Oh, so much of it is just static, like freeze frame images or. Small parts of the image are like shifting, like a cape is moving in the wind, but everything else is like perfectly still in combat scenarios. Or like Commissar Yarrick, there's a scene where Commissar Yarrick stands in front of a bunch of tanks and he raises his arm and he goes fire, and all the tanks fire off at once. The screen literally, it doesn't show flashbangs or anything. The whole screen just flashes white and then it comes back to the standstill image. There is no gun flare, there is no smoke or anything like that would come out of the gun. It's just they take the whole thing and they put a white filter over it and they turn the white filter on and off, on and off, on and off for the cannon fire. Which, yeah, it gets the point
That's
across.
Lazy.
But it's lazy. But it's fast. It's cheap and it's fast. And to summarize, I have a hard time believing that the studio wanted to produce it like this, because there are moments during that episode that are dope, that are awesome. The lighting is crazy, the way they edit it, and I'm like, that is good. That is awesome. I want more of that. But it is so far and few between. And the only reason I can think of is because of budget and time, which is all controlled not by the studio, by the people paying them, and that's Games Workshop. And Games Workshop
is notorious for making very, very good decisions.
Yeah. So I talk a lot more about the Hammer and Bolter episode in my YouTube video, which will be linked down below when it comes out if you want to know more about it. But basically, that's it. Games Workshop just really, really feels like they're
shooting themselves in the foot with a bolter.
They really want to promote this Warhammer Plus thing and get a lot of paid subscriptions out of this Warhammer Plus, but they're trying to do it as cheaply as possible to make the biggest bank out of it. And to be fair, yes, when you're a company that makes things, your goal is to make money. There's no problem with making money, but you also should be a company that believes in its product. And it really doesn't feel like, at least from what I've seen from the Hammer and Bolter episode, and then also a little bit from that Blood Angels episode that I talked about a while ago with you. We didn't do it on stream or anything, but I talked to you about it personally. It's just, and I was complaining about the sound effects. Like when they tossed the gun onto the rubble, it sounded like a ball of tinfoil clattering on the kitchen floor. It didn't feel like a fucking storm bolter going slamming in, or they stomp. It was just very weak sound effects. And after this, it just feels like Games Workshop is trying to put as little money as possible into their own product in order to get the biggest return out of it. And I don't like that. But the worst thing about this is I'm going to be a hypocrite, and I'm probably still going to buy Warhammer Plus on Wednesday because I want to see the other animations. I really, really want to see Astartes too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
For any other reason, and that Assassinora model. I really want that Assassinora model.
Well, you at least have an army that can use it.
That's true. I also have an army that can use it. So
I don't.
But and then also that
Vindicare model is fucking sick.
Yeah. And then as well, you get the Warhammer 40k app as part of the subscription as well, which I already pay for. So
yeah.
I basically don't have to pay for that app anymore. I just move it up to paying for Warhammer Plus, which is $2 more than the app already. So yeah. So
for you, it's a no-brainer.
For me, it's a no-brainer. For anybody else who's like, no, I'm not going to pay Games Workshop for what they're doing, I fully understand and I fully support them in that decision. And I really wish I could do the same. But it makes sense that I would get it because I already have the app and because I want that model and because I want to see the other animations.
It makes less sense for someone like me who has not used their services, doesn't really want to watch anything in particular besides the Astartes on there, and maybe the Exodite, but I feel like it's going to be forever before that's ready.
Who knows? There's no idea.
And for someone who has no Imperium armies whatsoever,
or orcs, because you could also get the orc model. So,
is it an orc model?
Yeah, it's either the assassin guy, or the orc
Age
makeup.
of Sigmar.
It could be used for both. It was made that you could either use it for Age of Sigmar, or you could use it as a mega boss with a Killer Claw in 40k. So you could use it for both. The assassin, unfortunately, is only 40k. But oh well.
Well, yeah. The thing about that is, like, I don't have any armies that can use them. They would be really cool to have because fuck, they look great. But for me, that's not as big a draw as it really could be.
Yeah.
So
that's where I said at Warhammer Plus. I'm still gonna get it because there are animations that I do want to see. I do want that model.
I think I'm just gonna bum it off you.
You know what? And that's the thing is that when news like next week's the Exodite or next week's the Astartes, I'll absolutely be telling you.
Oh yeah.
And we can watch it together.
I'll be sad.
Well, if you don't, you'll see it on YouTube. I guarantee someone will re-upload it. And like that's the unfortunate thing with all these. Like Games Workshop thinks nobody's gonna re-upload this stuff. Come on, you're tripping. But
you're tripping,
You're
bro.
tripping. Of course, people are gonna re-upload it and watch it for free. So it's I don't know what's going through their heads. They want to control their own IP, and they want to make money off their IP. But quite literally, they were, I would argue, making more money on new fans coming in for no cost, just fans being fans. And now they're paying all this money to hopefully get money back. And I don't think it's going to work. But the worst thing about it is that this is not the first time Games Workshop has done stupid shit like this, and they've yet to improve. I have a hard time thinking they'll improve. And my final note, do I think Warhammer Plus will fall? I think there's a high potential that even with as little money as I've seen going into Warhammer Plus, that it still might flop. There might not be enough of an investment and a comeback from it that they might just say, you know what, we're abandoning Warhammer Plus. I mean, it's not the first time. They abandoned Warhammer City or Warcry City, whatever the hell that box set was. They made a box set called like Warcraft City or something like that, and they announced it. It was going to be an ongoing thing. There was a ton of models for it. It was a big box set. They announced it. It sold out, and then they canceled it. They stopped it all from. They removed it from the store, and no one could ever find it, and they never released a statement from it. No one knows what happened. It sold out in moments, like everything. And then but they had a whole bunch of press saying this was a new thing that is similar like Kill Team, a new kind of like smaller game thing like that called.
It wasn't Necromunda because Necromunda's still going.
But it was again same thing like Necromunda or Kill Team. It was like Warcraft City or something like that, and a big box set, tons of awesome looking models, and then they just removed it from the store immediately after it sold out, and they never talked about it ever again, and no one knows what happened. So if they did that to Warhammer Plus, I could see it happening.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know. We just kind of have to wait and see. Just like you're going to have to wait and hear more from us next time, because that's going to be the end of the podcast. Thank you guys so much for being here. If this was too much Warhammer for you, I apologize. I know we usually well, yeah, I know you don't. But we usually talk about it like a little bit more. Like last episode, we talked about like Pokemon and a bunch of other stuff as well. So this one's heavily Warhammer, but I mean, I personally had a lot on my mind in terms of Warhammer with just everything that's been going on, Hammer and Bolter primarily and whatnot. But nonetheless, it's fun. I mean, people who have listened to the podcast before know that we like Warhammer. So
oh yeah, they do, and it's only gotten even bigger.
It's only gotten even bigger and hopefully better. But
because both of us have 2 armies now. Well, I more than him, but you know.
Yeah, but nonetheless. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. I hope you guys had a fantastic time. If you're watching this live on stream, thank you guys for being here and listening through. If you are listening through Anchor or Spotify or any of the other podcast apps, thank you so much. And if you want to leave us a message, you can go over to Anchor and leave us a voice message that we will listen to on stream and answer back. It doesn't have to be a question. You could just leave us a message, or it doesn't even have to be a nice message. You'd be like, hey, you guys are dinks. And we'll be like, thank you. A crazy _ bat chick or whatever your name happens to be, and that'll be about it. But nonetheless, thank you guys so much for being here. We hope to see you guys next time, and eventually I don't know when, but eventually we're going to start bringing guests onto this podcast again because it was fun. It's interesting. I mean, I love hearing your voice as much as I'm sure you love hearing mine. But it's also fun to include guests. And I think we might have talked, I don't know if we talked about this on the podcast or after the first podcast, but it's nice to have guests that are also not our friends.
Yes.
No offense to our friends. You guys are great. But it's fun having guests that like we don't know personally, like Sif Savory or Elspeth Eastman. I don't know if this is even going to happen, but I would love to bring Elspeth Eastman back onto the podcast and talk to her like several years later and see how everything is going. Because I don't know if you've been keeping up with Elspeth Eastman and such.
Nope.
She's gone through a real rough time.
Oof.
She had surgery on her vocal cords recently.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was bad. She had surgery on her vocal cords recently. She's relearning how to speak from it and speak in a completely different way, which has basically put her fucking whole voice acting career at a full stop.
No kidding.
A couple of years ago, before COVID, she had a really bad thing with a tabletop game online that was streamed on Twitch. The DM essentially, long story short, sexually assaulted her character. Which caused her to leave the campaign.
Oh yeah, of course.
No blame on that.
Full stop.
Full stop. Absolutely, get out of there. But that was a huge debacle that happened. And it's like, so a lot of stuff has happened to her recently that she, life hasn't been great, especially with the whole surgery on the vocal cords. And her job as a voice actor, so like, fuck, that sucks. But I'd like to talk to her again, but also because the last time we talked to her, we had audio problems and there was internet connective issues, and even on the podcast you can listen to right now, there are chunks of audio of hers or yours or mine that are just straight up missing. So a lot of the conversation bits just feel out of place and weird, and I don't like that. And I'd like to, get the second chance, the redo of it, and I think it would be fun and interesting. But of course, she's done nothing but grow since then. And I reached out to her via Twitch Whisper last time, and she responded. Twitch Whispers aren't even a thing anymore, so I don't even know if she'd ever respond.
You can get messages on Twitch still, but it's like you don't see them.
But yeah, Twitch has put about as much money as Games Workshop's put into Warhammer Plus for that production. And on that note. But anyway, eventually I'd like to bring more guests. It doesn't have to be Elspeth, but just guests in general that are about things we talk about, D&D, Warhammer. Or
Get Matt on here.
Yeah.
I would love to get one of those guys.
Holy shit.
They don't have enough fucking time, though.
There's no way. There's no fucking way. If I got Bricky,
I would literally shit myself.
You'd shit your pants if I got Bricky on here. That would be incredible.
Oh, I would love to talk to Bricky. Oh, my God.
Watch, we're going to look back on this podcast episode like 27 years later when we're big famous and we can talk to Bricky.
And you know what's the worst thing?
Oh, it's the worst thing?
He's younger than both of us.
No, he's not.
Yeah?
No, he's not.
He's like 25, 24.
I'm 25.
I swear to God.
That's not fair.
I know, right? Again, he's put a lot of work into all of his stuff. So
yeah, well,
props to him.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of stuff. I mean, he's got his streams, he's got his YouTube, he's got Dice Check, and now he's also got Adeptus Ridiculous. So
which is amazing.
It's great.
The quality is out of this fucking world.
We talked about Adeptus Ridiculous last time.
A little bit.
Still recommend,
just a wee little bit.
Yeah, still recommend checking out Adeptus Ridiculous and the Orcs podcast. So Bricky is 25 confirmed. Well, shit, Bricky's my age. You're older than Bricky. God, you're an old man.
I know.
Holy. All right. Well, I know I said I was ending this podcast, and then anyone looked at the audio and went, "There's 20 minutes left. Where are you ending?" So we're gonna end now. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you guys coming by. If you enjoyed the podcast, be sure to leave a like or a comment or however it works on whatever app you're listening to this podcast on. We'd appreciate any kind of feedback is welcome. And if you want to watch this live, you can check us out at twitch.tv/Wings and Riffs podcast with underscores after every time. Or if you don't want to type that out, the link is in the description down below. Thank you guys so much. We will see you guys in 2 weeks. And if we end up talking about Warhammer the entire podcast in 2 weeks, well,
so be it.
So be it. It's totally unstructured. We don't know what happens. But you know what's happening right now? We're going to pop open some music. Oh, I closed the music player. Well, unfortunate. I guess it's just going to have to be a random hard cutoff of just when the podcast end.